Hello everyone to our fifth edition of Seafarers Point of View interview. And we're very happy today to have Ashish with us, who's a marine engineer from India. Hi Ashish.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Currently, I'm in India now,
Mm-hmm.
just on vacations. I'm doing my courses, refreshing, and just hang around.
Great. I think that we will touch the training aspect and professional development a bit later. Before we jump into other questions, could you please introduce yourself to those who are not familiar with your face, for your fellow seafarers and those who are watching us also outside the maritime industry? What you do, what your main responsibilities are?
As you said, my name is Ashish Thakur. I'm a marine engineer, currently working as fourth engineer on board bulk carriers, special types. And normally, my duties on board as an engineer, we have to maintain different equipment which help to propel the ship ahead, and I am solely responsible to be particular with purifiers, compressors, pumps, and bunkering operation on board ship. And also, I am responsible for whatever work is given by my seniors, such as second engineer and chief engineers.
Mhm.
So this is my sort of professional life which I have given to you.
Have you
All
been
right.
have you been a seafarer for a long time now? Have
Yeah,
you joined us
actually, like 6 years now.
6 years?
And how do you find this profession? First of all, maybe how did you decide to become a seafarer?
Okay. Actually, this is a very big long story, but I will cut it out.
But we
Uh,
have time and you can go ahead.
actually, my father was working in defense in India, Indian defense. So we used to go on warships as a family day tour out. So from that time onwards, we were having a special interest to ships and sea, and the life on board the ships, because that was a very glamorous life, because it was of course a defense purpose. But I after like going for 12th class, after giving my high school, I decided to be on technical side rather than on something other side. So I decided why not to join marine engineering as a career, because apart from your technical point of view, you're having much more access, like going on adventurous trips on different countries, meeting people. And I've met a lot of people. I've made many friends from different continents. So my decision, I think, was very true up to now.
Mhm.
Hmm. And is the profession exactly the same as you expected it to be?
No, I actually in India we are always like glamorizing everything. Whatever we are choosing, we are like, "Bhai, it will be like awesome feeling." But the fact is, practically, our thinking process and actual scenario is very much different, of course. And to be honest, on the part of ships, it is having a very hard life on board a ship, but I enjoy a lot on board a ship, to be frank. But to be true, it is like 50-50.
Hmm.
50 was
So,
true, and 50 I have to like
hmm,
come to the conclusion.
what are the main challenges? You say like 50-50. So, what would you call the biggest?
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
one of the main challenges, of course, is we are going away from our family friends. But that was not main challenge for me. The main challenge for me was the life on board ship becomes monotonous after 1 to 2 months. It is same. It is repeated.
you mean the
So the
routine you have on board is the same?
Yes, the routine on board which we have, it is the same. The working hours are the same.
Can you just quick question, just in case we have like also people watching who are not familiar with the maritime industry, can you briefly describe the routine you have on board, the one you just mentioned?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, I can describe. Actually, I am from engine side. So we have two parts of engines. One is like fully manned. All the time it is manned with people. And the other part is unmanned. It is
Mm-hmm.
manned for like morning 6 to evening 5. And after that, it is left unmanned. So there are two types. I have worked on both of them. So for the first type, which is manned, I have to like work from, I had a exact schedule like 8 to 12 I have to work in the morning. 8 to 12,
Okay.
I have to work in the evening. Like I have to be in the engine room as a watchkeeper, officer watchkeeper in charge. And in the afternoon, I have to also give 2 more hours of overtime. So in total, it is like 8, 10 hours.
Okay.
So
Every day.
this is like an ideal situation. But if emergencies, bunkers, food supply, then store supply, then we have to increase our timings.
And I would imagine you're 6 months on, 6 months off, the usual rotation, or
Yeah, it can be that way, but it is not exactly that way. 6 months off, 6 months on. It can be now it is reduced to 4 months. It is also 6 months, and it all depends on you how much you want to spend time on like home. If you are doing 2 months, you can go after 2 months.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
So it is not particular.
So we have one challenge, which is the routine.
Yes.
What's another?
Another is emergencies on board.
Mhm.
Mm.
The fear of it can happen anything on board. It is that fear. Plus, we have many big work going around. Like if we have to like dismantle the main engine. It is a routine coming up. So it is like a stretch of 8 to 10 hours. Direct or added stretch of 8, 10 hours. We have to physically work. So
Mm.
if we are working physically continuously uh, for the week, we are like, okay, now it is nothing. Then again, port comes and we have to work for exactly 8 hours. And it is not like we are working mentally. It is both way, physical,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, and emotionally also. You can say that. So these are the fights which comes and it is a challenge for seafarer life.
Mhm.
Mm.
What about
Right.
the sorry, Aglena, the positive side of the story? So you've said that there are challenging. What do you like most about your profession?
The most about my profession I like is we get to do more in less things. Like we have a cabin, small cabin. We have limited foods. We have limited recreational facility. We have limited movies on our laptops, and we try to be happy doing and watching all that thing.
Mm.
The best thing which happened to me was uh, I was I was a boy before going on ship. Now I am a man. I can proudly say. So there are a lot of changes which has come onto me, like mentally. I am now more confident that yes, I can do it. Yeah? Nothing is impossible. Before that, I was like having a fear that whether I would be able to spend my 4 months on board or not. Then for the first ship, I spent like 11 months. So it is extending my brain to a next level. Then I
Mm.
thought, this is what is life teaching me going on to this job.
It takes a lot of preparation, I think, as you mentioned, like mentally and physically. Like,
A lot. But the point is here I will weigh mental preparation more than the physical one. If you're mentally more prepared, then you can easily sort out your physical, emotional things.
Can I ask, since you've touched this mental aspect now? Okay, if we look at 2020, it obviously created a lot of challenge, and I'm sure you're aware of the situation around the world right now with the crew changes. And I don't know if you yourself experienced any
It's
changes in your work routine. So I would imagine that this was something extremely challenging from the mental well-being perspective as well, correct?
extremely challenging. So I was like, I 2020 Feb, I was joining on board, and it was just like a little glimpse of COVID. We did not knew. Just we have to wear the mask. We knew that. So we were wearing the mask, and I went on board ship. After 1 to 2 months, it was like boom, and people are dying. Now, if we are on board, we will be concentrating on onboard things like our work, our routine, what we have to do. But now this challenge has come up and everyone is discussing about this only.
Mhm.
So we were like more tense, not about us, but about our family members because our ship, it is like 15 to 30 days of sailing if we have. We are already quarantined and we don't have any virus coming up. It is only emergency comes when we are on at port.
Mhm.
So if so, we had taken so many precautions about it, and it was very much mentally challenging because every day we were talking about it only. We had
Mhm.
nothing to talk. We have talked. Okay, now in India this much cases has come up. Now it is increasing a lot. It is in lakhs. Now it is in 10 lakhs. So it was very challenging.
I gather from what you said that, you know, when you were on board, you kind of felt even more safe yourself while being on board. But what was the most challenging part is the concern, or let's say the lack of what you could do to help your family when they were at home, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I
Actually,
would imagine.
actually, to be frank, seafarers give their 50% of the life to their family friends. To be frank.
Mhm.
So if we are on board, we have, I already told you, our first challenge was away from the family friends. So we are okay on board, but our family friends are at danger. So it created more fear and more tension, more stress,
Mhm.
something like that.
It's you know, it's quite, we see, because like Egle mentioned, we interviewed quite a few seafarers to date, and a lot of them mention the importance of having this or maintaining this connection with the family while being on board. So I would imagine that, you know, constant and frequent communication, which you mentioned you had, was helping the situation a little,
Yes,
helping to alleviate the effects of the whole situation, right?
yes. It was helping, and our company was very good. They were providing us more internet connection in the COVID situation, so we were safe. We were
Mhm.
having good conversation with the family. Approximately, I guess 60% of the vessels all over India, all over the world, I think, has Wi-Fi internet connection.
Good.
So it is limited, but in some companies it is unlimited. In some
Mhm.
companies it is per day 1 GB, something like that.
Hmm.
So we had every day 4 hours unlimited.
Okay.
So we've covered, you know, your what it's like to be a seafarer and to work on board the vessel, plus of course the recent happenings in the industry. But going back into the past now, can you please tell us what it takes to actually become a marine engineer? So how do you acquire the knowledge? How do you train to become one? What does this process look like?
Okay. So I will be talking about India. In India, it is very simple. You have to do a graduation course of 4 years. That is BTech in Marine Engineering. That is for 4 years. And if you do that 4 year course, plus your basic SCCW courses you do, you are eligible to go on board ship. So, but for the training part, we have very nice and very old colleges. They are very uh, vastly expanded with all the big chief engineer, captains, even superintendents, and they're teaching us. And also, we have many technologies like simulators, which are helping us to cope up with the situation. And of course, theory part is the first basic thing which we have to read. After the
Mhm.
theory part, if we are more interested, we go on videos, we see the videos, we try to gain the knowledge. But for me, actually, if I tell you, if I take 100 of scale, 30% I learned in my college days. But the actual learning came when I was on.
With the practical. Like to, if you don't mind, to kind of cover three other questions which come to my head. So first one is, okay, you mentioned that the first part is the 4 year college, right? To get the initial knowledge. And then you move on to the regulatory STCW courses, which are required by the regulations, as always. Yeah, is any of this studying covered by the employer, or do you cover the expenses, let's say, of the college yourself, and then the employers cover the STCW courses? How does this work?
Actually, to be frank, in India it is a very, I will not say bad, but very unorganized things. These all things we have to do by our own.
On your own. Mhm.
After doing all this, then if we get a sponsorship from a company or a company comes in our college, then we are sponsored by that company. But still, the college amount and the STW courses amount, that all we have to bear.
Okay. So the initial step of like the first foundational, let's say, setup of knowledge and certification that you must possess is covered by the seafarer, by yourself, and only then the companies may choose to. Okay. It's a discussion we had with our colleagues actually on Saturday. We were wondering how this process works. That's why I asked this question, because it was interesting for us to understand as well. And another thing I wanted to ask, so when you acquired all this knowledge, right, and all these certificates, was the training all done offline, so physical training on simulators at training centers, or did you do any online training as part of the initial, let's say, phase?
For this 4-year courses, we have to be in the college. It is
Mm-hmm.
fully residential program.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be there in the hostel. Every day we were we were trained in such a way that we are about to tackle that hard situation on board a ship, because it is physically and mentally challenging. So we have to do every day PT parade exercise, and apart from that, all the trainings is done offline
Mm-hmm.
uh, in the institute. But now in the COVID situation, what all I knew is everything is done online. Slowly, the institutes are taking one by third of the population. Like if 40 seats are there, then they are taking like 8 to 10 people first, and slowly they are giving the training.
Just before our interview, you also mentioned that you're doing a course. So I guess you were doing it online, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So how do you? Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
you can ask me.
I just wanted to say, because you mentioned that in India before it used to be offline, and you recently shifted to the online training. How do you personally like it? What do you like, and what things maybe you don't like?
Actually, now I have done all my STCW refreshers because it was expiring. So it is everything online now. The best part about is we are at home, we are safe, and we can easily, with our comfort, can do the course. We'll get the certificate as well as the knowledge which we are getting online. But the worst part about this course is there is no practical training. As for a particular courses, we are having practical trainings also. For that, our government has done, they have reduced the amount of duration of that course. Like if it is valid for 5 years previously, now it is valid only for 18 months. So they are saying that if you want to have 5 years extension, then you have to do practical training in the institute. You have to personally come. So it is slowly they are taking over. But still, 80% is online now.
And one other thing, if you don't mind me asking, so I know that the maritime industry is somewhat, it's a heavily regulated industry, right? So for the different ranks you have on board, you have a predefined list of mandatory courses that you must pass, right? And certification that you must have. Would you say that, or maybe yourself, or in general, whether seafarers engage in also additional trainings? So there is the mandatory part, right?
Yeah.
Do you also do any other professional development or something to, let's say, not mandatory, but
just to upskill
useful?
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be done because, and if I'm personally interested, I will automatically do myself. But in India, to be frank, it is not, this culture is not going around to upskill seafarers. No one thinks of that. All are attaining to the basics. Okay, you have done this course. Okay, now you are
Mhm.
eligible to go. But if we are going on to a company, they are expecting us to be a world class seafarers with a good Excel, good PowerPoint presentation, and then we
Mhm.
should also have a good knowledge of English, then good
Mhm.
knowledge of paperwork, then everything. I know good companies, they are in-house doing these courses. Like for
Mhm.
our main engine, if I'm
Mhm.
going to a particular ship, they will give us the training of that ship. So I personally think it should be done. There should be some personal increment in our
Mhm.
productivity also.
And
Mhm.
you mentioned a very good thing that it's a culture thing. Like you mentioned that in India there is no such culture for like professional development upskilling. And I think it's not just a country culture; it's also like a company culture. You like you start working and building these things, from the management, and then you kind of
Mhm.
shift to the seafarers.
Like touch the upskilling and skills development, right? Um, Personally, in my life, I had the pleasure of working with several shipping companies. Obviously, not on board, right? But I worked in the technical department of ship management companies, and I've done my fair share of, let's say, because I was working side by side with technical superintendents. They were obviously in very close communication with the engineers on board, and I had the pleasure of understanding and seeing myself what it takes to to ensure that the equipment is maintained. And I've been to a couple of dry docks. I know what an engine overhaul, how complex this task can be, or annual inspections by the manufacturers. So I know these tasks, they involve, for example, a lot of coordination. It's a lot of work under pressure. So these are like prime examples of what we call non-technical skills. You know, it's the skills that you need to kind of have, and in order to execute this kind of job. So, in your opinion, what would you say are the most important non-technical skills that you as an engineer must have in order to execute your job?
First of all, I would say communication skill is the topmost in my priority.
Hmm.
So if you are not able to communicate properly, then if you are like a very good engineer, it will be like the value will go down.
Hmm.
So according to me, communication skills are the best. If our, I don't know, if our government can give these skills to individual seafarers, it will be very helpful. And then the second I think is leadership. Leadership
Hmm.
qualities. It does not come from the family or from our college times or something like that. I too lack in this leadership content because I have been on board and I've seen I'm not able to manage the crew members
Hmm.
regarding work normally in the professional times. So
Hmm.
I would love to like I'm under many of the chief engineers who are guiding me accordingly, but we
Mm.
don't have a particular course about it. All I learn is going to ship, then thinking about it, then taking a note ki where I'm lacking and where I'm
Hmm.
good at. I'm good at communication, but I'm lacking at leadership.
Hmm.
Also, I'm now at a junior level, so my leadership point of view is less because
Hmm.
it comes when you become a chief engineer or second engineer. It is the most. But if I don't practice from now, then it will be nothing.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
these are the two most things which I think of non-professional things you should have.
Hmm.
Can you think of any, if you can, of any like practical example, for example, communication in your from the past, from any situations on board where it actually helped you to solve something, or can you remember any kind of situation like this
So
where you
many,
used your communication skills?
so many. Normally in engine room we have a verbal communication plus we have the sign languages. If you have
Mm.
a good team, you don't have to be verbal. You can simply give your sign language, and the this body to body vibe connect so good that if you have that link with that person. So normally what I do when I go on board, I try to interact and I try to make a connection with people, so that while working I I'm not like a boss. I am like a friend giving a friendly advice ki please you can do like this. Or if we are having some parameters up and down, so from the engine control room only I can give him the signal of going down or coming up or opening or closing. So it will be so this all comes from practice. We have practice on board. So there are so many examples while working on main engine. We were doing the unit decarb, and while lifting exhaust valve, it is very heavy, and we have to be very slow. Not very slow because we have a time pressure on us. So we have to give the instruction in such a way, and we cannot yell because it is full of sound. So we can only give the hand signature or a gesture which the other person can think of. So we used to give move this way, slightly left, slightly right. So in spite of seeing my hands, they also used to see my face. So we had that connection. The other person having the crane operation with him, and I was holding the exhaust valve, and he was seeing to me what I'm giving the uh,
It's quite interesting, you know, that like these kind of skills, non-technical skills, they are the good thing about them is obviously they're extremely useful, and especially in an environment within which you operate. And the benefit of them is that they can be developed, right? And it's interesting that you mention how you observe the situation on board, and then you go home and you yourself you analyze it, you know. So, and through analyzing, you teach yourself and you basically boost these skills. So it's very interesting to hear that you yourself, you've recognized this need and you found a way to self-develop these skills as well. Because this is actually one of the methodologies that are used to grow soft skills, which is through not through teaching that you should do this, and this, but rather learning how to analyze the situation and how to make the conclusions yourself, which is what you're projecting basically. Yeah.
Normally, sir, the seafarers are surrounded by family and the
Mm-hmm.
work pressure because
Mm-hmm.
they have to have the money, they have to spend on family members, something like that. So, so for this, they don't think much about these skills. They are like,
Mm-hmm.
we will go on board, we will do our contract in a good way, and we'll come back. So the one who are realizing it, they are becoming a good seafarer. The one who are not realizing it, they are having a hard time on board. They are complaining. They are not having a good relationship with the people on board, and it is creating a bad atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've touched this part with another seafarer, which we interviewed. That you know, it's an ecosystem of its own. You know, when you're on board an enclosed space, you know, with 30 other people, and it's an ecosystem which you need to nurture. You know, it's in order to work well. So it's very valid what you're saying, indeed.
The last part, that's my favorite one, should touch is the social media, because this is how I actually discovered you from LinkedIn and from YouTube. And I watched a couple of your vlogs as well, which
They are
are
in Hindi.
really interesting. Yeah, but still, like, okay, I wasn't really listening what you're saying because I couldn't understand, but it was very interesting to, like, actually yesterday I watched the one you took your family with you on a ship and you showed them around. Like, I've never seen this, you know, like footage before, like real one. And okay, so today you have almost 20,000 followers, subscribers, sorry, on YouTube. Yeah, correct. And I think almost like 13,000 on Instagram. Yeah,
Yes.
I think 12 something. Yeah. So like the numbers are huge. And you should have like a very big audience. And I also noticed that the engagement rate is quite high. Like people are actually, like commenting under your videos. They're really engaging with your content. So do you consider yourself being an influencer?
Not yet.
Not yet. Is it something you would like to become one day?
No, I never thought to be influencer. I just wanted
Mm,
to share my life. So whatever mistake I have done, whatever things I am doing, what can be better, what mistake I have done which they can get help from, this is what I am doing.
mm.
So I think that might be a good connection. As I told, I make connections wherever possible. So maybe it is social media, it is onboard, it is land. I try to make connections. And hopefully I will make good connection with both of you.
Hopefully, we really hope so too.
We will be
uh,
in touch.
about the content as well, like your content is also very like you create like different type of content. Like you share about, I saw you shared about COVID testing. You share about your day, your routine. You share when you took your family to show around the ship. Like how do you decide what kind of content you will share tomorrow with your audience?
That is not planned or not decided. I think it should be on this is a content, so it should be shoot. And I naturally shoot it like a vlog so
Mm,
that people connect, people learn, people get entertained, and people also appraise ki what you're doing is very good. And obviously it is a maritime field is a very vast field, and if I get the chance I will go on every ship and make a content, but I don't think so I will get that chance. I got this
it,
chance.
it looks that you're very passionate about what you're doing, and I mean your profession itself, and also the vlogging part, because you produce very high quality videos. How did you learn how to edit and
So
film?
what I think is going on board and doing your work is your first priority. But giving your 70% on board as a work ethic, and then what about myself, my 30%? So this I analyzed
Mm,
my last uh, in my last ship. We were on dry dock, and I was not getting a chance to shoot or edit or do vlogging on ship because it was very hectic. We were in a dry dock in China, Nantong, and for 2 months I did not got a chance. So
mm,
what I analyzed about it is, for the first 2 months when I was producing the content, I was very happy. I was doing my best in my professional ethics, and I was also connected to the people. But in my next 2 months, my graph went down.
yeah.
So I thought, ki this is something very related to your profession. If you are doing what you love, your hobbies, if you're developing a hobby, because for a sailor, he should have a minimum one hobby. I have many. So
What
you should
other
have,
hobbies you have?
because he can do. I also dance, I also sing. If you have seen my Instagram, you will find everything. So whatever I feel like, I go on deck and I put earphones, and I have a time. I tell my staff ki I am going to this particular area with my headphones, and I used to dance. It feels good. Then I sing with people around there, so it is connection. So each day is different, and each day you have a lot of stress. You need something to neutralize.
Mm,
But this YouTube content, blogging stuff, when I after my first ship, first ship, we have a competitive exams.
mm-hmm.
So for this, our Indian sailors, they are helping each other like brothers. So after that, I thought I should also help. So from
Mm,
this idea of YouTube came. Helping in WhatsApp and only in Facebook is not enough. So
Mhm.
reach large audience. There, I started making educational videos. From
mm-hmm.
educational will be like not so good. I should attach something. With education, I attach blog. Then from blog, I attach entertainment part. So it is mix up. I don't decide.
Mhm.
What about your audience? Because as you mentioned, you create content in your native language. So what's your audience? Did you, of course you checked, you know, these analytics.
Mostly from India,
Mhm.
but many of them are from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Myanmar also. Many of them are requesting to start in English, but I'm not so very comfortable in English, and I won't be able to connect.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It will be Hindi final. So, and of course, I was with Indian crew all the time.
We appreciate you taking your time to share with us.
Yeah, of course, I'm all time available, no problem.
Mhm.
I will share. It's okay, no problem. Because I am open to every opportunities. I have learned from you, Alex. I have learned from her, and I really appreciate.
And bringing the spotlight on the seafarers. So I think that your profession is about to get the recognition that it deserves, you know? And yeah, we just have to help spread the word.
Yes, yes. That's for sure.
All right, guys. So I think that we can close. Thank you very much for your time.